Hello, 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 and welcome to this week's edition of Man to Man, an authentic conversation with myself, Cedric Edison, and the wonderful Ron Servin. This week we're going to have a very interesting topic surrounding the four-letter word, a powerful four-letter word that starts with L, and that would be love. With this being after the Christmas holiday, a lot of people showing giving and loving and all of this other religious stuff. And we just thought we'd tackle this topic and submit this to you guys. And so we hope you all enjoyed the show. All right, man. It feels good to be back. It feels good to be back. Um, Getting to chat it up with my buddy.
Good to
so,
be here, man. Good to be here.
yeah, love it. I love it. Hope all is well, man. Um, Hey, I want to talk about an interesting topic tonight, with the holidays, because I saw the people come in and they just had a bunch of gifts. And I was like, well, man, you know, why do we have to wait to this one time of the year to show love? And so I guess I wanted to kind of ask you, how do you define, or I'm sorry, define what loves mean to you?
I believe love is a beautiful energy that does reside in all of us as human beings. Um, I think love can be something that is misunderstood in our lives, and we don't quite know where to tap into that beautiful part of who we are. Um, I do believe that love is our true nature, and that innately our heart wants to be the primary focus of how we live our life and to make decisions that are um, good for us and good for others. Love can be love for yourself and just that beautiful acceptance of who we are as individuals. Obviously, we love others and can love others, and that is an amazing experience that I believe everyone in their life should allow themselves to experience, whatever that looks like. And I think love is just just a source of power, a source of emotions, a source of acceptance, and again, as an energy. And I've mentioned in the past just kind of the colors that I see when I talk about or feel love. And obviously, red, knowing that a heart is kind of represented oftentimes by the color red, but just beautiful other colors of the rainbow, like yellows and oranges, and just all of the beautiful shades that represent joy and happiness and positive energy. So when I look back and thought about this question, and knowing last week we did fear, um, I didn't really think about what the opposite of fear might be, or what that kind of opposite of that feeling of kind of darkness and some of those topics we talked about last week. But when I kind of looked deeper and kind of did some soul searching, love is the opposite, in my opinion, of fear. It's a place in my life where I'm able to process my thoughts, my ideas, and my actions and reactions to things through. um, I do get challenged at times by getting stuck in my head and not allowing my heart to be involved in my decision making. So my heart to me is just a very valuable, obviously, organ in my body that pumps blood and allows me to live my life as a human being. But it also is for me a a way to channel my life through, my decisions that I make, my, kind of who I am as a person, all of the, individual conscious and decisions that I make in my life. Um, I really try to be mindful about allowing my heart to be very much involved in those decisions, because I know my heart's always going to give me the right answer. It's going to lead me in the right direction. Um, in fact, when we went through HCI Live, we went through that process where I was able to kind of feel much of that energy in my head, just kind of being stuck in my head and, kind of challenged with that. And just that realization of how close my heart in my body is, and the ability to kind of transfer that energy through my heart and still understand that, I'm going to have thoughts and my brain's going to be involved in decision making. So it's just very interesting when I think about love, just that process, but just love in my life. I've been married for 31 years and just feeling that true sense of unconditional acceptance and just a beautiful light in my life that I'm able to share with my wife and my son and my family and my friends. And just that, that understanding of how, the multitasking of such a beautiful organ that's located in my chest that just beats again to provide me life, but also to be just a very valuable source for me to channel things through to give me the best direction in my life.
Okay, man, that's interesting. Man, because you've been married a long time, and you had some stuff in there that kind of hinted towards fear and all that good stuff. And I was just thinking about an exercise that I remember having to do, where you stood in the mirror and you had to tell yourself you love you until you meant it. So, like, what kind of impact do you think that has on somebody, like, to love themselves, or if somebody doesn't, like, what kind of impact do you think that would have on them?
You know what? I think you can just say that, and it can just be words that you feel are truthful or not truthful. Just because they're words doesn't necessarily mean they're true. So I do remember that exercise well. And I kind of took it a step further to where I did a video of myself saying I love me, and kind of that realization of that energy that I'm giving myself during that process was huge. I mean, just looking past the physical body when I did that exercise, and just in my life today, knowing that part of that energetic feeling within me that my heart really channels my life towards. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it just, it feels like it's just, my engine in my life. I mean, just to drive, to lead with my heart, to, show my heart, to not feel like I need to protect my heart, to really be willing to, put myself out there and put my heart out there, knowing that, it's a beautiful thing to share.
Okay. I can dig it. Well, y'all know what time it is. It's my turn to answer the question. Huh?
So obviously, love is the topic. So when you look in your life, obviously you've had different chapters in your life, and love can, kind of look differently in your life at different stages. Today, if you were to describe what, how you would define love, what would resonate with you today?
Man, I can definitely tell you. I was just telling my sister this last night. I was telling her my definition of love now is having the willingness to change,
Mm-hmm.
which is more of an action, because, like you say, the words, we can say it and it has the context of the true essence or context of it has been lost, because I just love this, I so love this, I love you, and it's kind of lost the value, and it was kind of coming from a place of an intimate relationship. But when you play it out, we all have some type of relationship, and there's some type of, not necessarily a physical intimacy, but an emotional intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
Be it small or big. So, and I think where a lot of the problems that people encounter in the area of love is that that pride and ego hangs on, and we're not willing to change. But if I say I love you, or I want to show you that I love you, there are some things that I have to be willing to change about myself, because it's not always about having the other person conform to you. Sometimes you have to conform to the next to show love, which I'm sure in 33 years with the same human being, I'm sure you know about it.
Yes. And interesting you say that, because I think, love and relationships are something that takes a lot of work. I mean, I think there's too many people out there that kind of give up, on a, relationship because of their unwillingness, like you said, to identify where change can happen within ourselves, and foster that, that hope and desire, and foster a relationship that supports love, connection, allows us to not just be stagnant and maybe, kind of be complacent in a relationship to where, love is not at the forefront. I mean, I think that's, it can very easily be something that you feel and acknowledge and experience in a relationship, but it takes a lot of effort. It takes, the willingness to kind of persevere and push the envelope, as far as, always wanting to live a higher life of love, love of yourself, love of others, love of, the existence of us on this earth. So I think that's awesome information that you're sharing. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem. So you just said, like when you were ending there, love of self. So I'm kind of interested. What do you love most about your life, and why?
Fortunately for me, Cedric, I feel a tremendous amount of gratitude on a daily basis for the life that I have. So I would say, just if I was to ask myself the question, what do I love the most about my life? I guess just this present moment today, knowing that I've got, a healthy relationship. I've got a career that's been fantastic. I've got, a newfound passion in health coaching and life coaching that has allowed me to really tap into what I have felt is my purpose in life, to help others and to create change, one person at a time. I love being a father. I didn't know, my wife and I were married 20 years when we had my son. So, we were very comfortable in our life and didn't know if that's the next step we were ready to take. And now we've got, a 12-year-old, almost 13-year-old son. And I can't imagine not having that in my life. And my beautiful wife that I've been married to. So many things today that I have so much gratitude towards. And my relationships that I'm building today, with, this conversation, with others that I'm, kind of becoming more engaged with, due to my own, kind of growth as being the most authentic man that I can be. So it's a lot. I mean, I think it's, I love everything about life right now. I mean, are there challenges? Sure. I don't wake up every morning and feel like there's, something that needs to be worked on, or areas of my life that I still struggle with from time to time. But my awareness has allowed me to be more willing to do the work that allows me to continue towards being the best version of myself on a daily basis. And that's never going to stop till the day I'm, no longer alive on this earth. I'm dedicating myself to do my best to continue my efforts to love life. I guess that's my situation. I'm sticking with it.
All right. Man, I'm kind of interested though. This may be a little off a little bit, but when it comes to men, and we can have all of this masculinity and stuff, and bravado, but I'm kind of curious to know, how do you show love to another man?
I guess just not having that, that conversation that's very surface, in nature, just kind of the feel good things about, what's your favorite football team, or, what activity did you do this weekend? Type of, kind of a sports approach type thing where it's, very comfortable and easy and very, again, on the surface as far as the discussion. So I think I'm much more willing to ask deeper questions of individuals and trying to bring that out as far as a conversation that they can feel comfortable with. And that also pushes me to be vulnerable, in situations that I typically wouldn't. So I think I try to create space in men's life to where, they can feel that they can have that side of themselves that maybe they're not feeling is as comfortable to share with others. And not in a way where they feel like they need to, not be who they are. I mean, having all those other things that are in their life where they're, comfortable with and the relationships they have with other men or people in their life that allow them to have kind of that diversity of the experience. But I think I am that go-to guy with specific men in my life that know if they've got something that's a little bit more deeper to talk about, they know I've got their back and they know I'm going to listen. They know I'm going to hold their feet to the fire, and they know that I'm going to support and push them to be the better version of themselves.
Cool. Most of the time I ask those questions, those are for me.
It's not about you, Cedric. Come on.
Well, they're helping me.
Right.
Oh, man.
All right, then. So, again, just kind of maybe take a moment, gather yourself, and think about today. What do you love most about your life? Because I know you've got a lot of things in transition, a new job, kind of health coach, life coach, career, kind of blossoming. You've got a new son on the way. You've got a lot going on, right? So if you were to kind of take a snapshot or explain to me and others that are listening, what do you love most about your life and why?
Man, it's a tricky answer. The first thing I would say is me. And what I mean by that, not from a self-centered place, but I love who I've become. Because I can look back months, years, weeks, hell, just yesterday, and I'm definitely not the person I used to be, but I like the fact that I am the person that's continuing to seek to become better. Because I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm loving where I'm at right now because it's in a place of progress.
So, Cedric, I'm interested when you're saying that of what others might see in their interactions with you that would allow them to see that person. I mean, that where it's evident, not just inside of you, but what other things might others see that would give them that same clue that this is where you're at as far as, kind of that whole vision of and being mindful about you?
Man, it's like a weird visual that people get with me. And because what I mean by that is for the people that know me, from the past, they can see it. They're like, I'm almost like a stranger. They're like, who are you? Like, who is this guy? I like it, but who are you? Mm-hmm. And for the person that just meets me, I guess you can kind of, I don't know if it's good or bad, but people are always confused by me. Because sometimes I guess the way I talk or the way I carry myself, and different things like that. But I've kind of become like this very humble person, and I'm an interested and a curious person now. And it comes across different because a lot of people haven't been around that. And so they can see that. I have people ask me all the time, like, what do you do? Some people think I'm a preacher, or when I tell them, I'm like, hey, I'm a coach. And they're like, now it makes sense. So, it's just a totally different lifestyle. and not just for coaches, but just people that seek every day to become better. You're different than the rest,
Right.
and it sticks out, and people can see that.
And you may see this, but we've only we met a month ago. We spent, some time in Dallas, going through the live event. Still very limited time, right? Actually being in each other's presence, kind of talking from afar as we're doing now. But people want to hear what you have to say. And I think that's, a gift that you have that, allows you to connect very early on in a conversation. And there may be some uncertainty that that individual may feel, whether they have known you in the past or just meet you. So share that, right? I mean, share that part of you, because that's what allows people to identify areas in their own life where they can latch on to somebody that's just being the true you, right? That willingness to show up and be engaged and show that side of you is an awesome thing to do. So continue your wonderful efforts in that.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, man. And it's weird to hear you say that. That's a bad word, but it's just different to hear you, and as well as other people, tell me that, because it in order to tell that story, you have to be vulnerable, which I'm getting kind of cool with. I have no problem for some reason, but it's two sides to that coin. The very things that I had to go through, for some reason, I love those because they've helped me get to where I'm at. But at the same time, I hate those places. So when I'm faced with that hate, it's kind of hard to be vulnerable in those places where you don't like those places.
Right.
Some things you have to say about yourself and tell people, and you hate to give that up because you're back in that moment or in that time, and then you're just like, that was such a stupid mistake, or whatever the case. So it's definitely a work in progress.
Right. But I guess I would challenge you or encourage you to know that maybe that experience was integral, even though it wasn't, kind of an experience that felt good for you at the time. That might have been an integral part of where you're at today, and maybe reframe that experience a little bit differently to where, that catapulted you into a direction where you are today. So just, maybe keep mindful of that.
All right. I appreciate that, man. So being a coach and all, what kind of impact do you think you can make in promoting, love, or showing love in the world?
Just stepping out. I mean, just, in every situation in my life, engaging myself, engaging my who I am, kind of what my passions are, to encourage others to, as I mentioned earlier, feel your heart, know that it's part of who you are. Actually physically stop and focus on your heart. It's amazing, I've in some meditations that I've done where you stop, kind of put that intention or focus on the beating heart, and how quickly all of a sudden you're realizing, wow, I can actually hear and feel my heart beating. I mean, how many of us spend time in our day to be more mindful of that? So sharing that with others. I mean, trying to spend a moment with an individual that may be struggling and allow them to, or encourage them to channel their energy into that vital organ that has a lot more value than just pumping blood through our body. As I mentioned earlier, I mean, it's always going to lead you in the right direction. Your heart is never going to tell you or give you the wrong advice. So sharing that with others. I mean, that's not a normal conversation to have with a man, right? I mean, you and I are having this conversation because we feel that it's important for us to share. So there is that uncertainty of, or around judgment, right? I mean, you can show that side to an individual that may want to experience that, but it's not familiar with them. They may have been told by their, father or brother or somebody else in their life that, come on, man up. You don't need to be sensitive. You don't need to show your heart. Don't need to show your feelings. And I would challenge that person in their life to step up and lead with your heart. Don't let your brain set you up for, uncertainty or frustration in your life. Allow your heart to be much more. So I think, to get back to your initial question, just being very outspoken about how important the heart is. And I do a lot of posting around just, thoughts around that experience. But I think that human contact is more important in our lives today because of the disconnect we have through social media and other avenues, to stop and, talk to somebody on a daily basis and just kind of show that side of myself that represents love. Smell a flower, experience the wind blowing through a tree, all these things that are very, kind of come from a place of love, and a love of life, a love of who we are, and just a love for everything that's in our life.
So you said lead with your heart. I like that. I'm all about that leadership stuff. Um, so what would you suggest to somebody that doesn't necessarily know how to lead with their heart? Like, how does one get in tune with their heart, or I guess intuition is what you were going for, or just to get in tune with their heart?
I think asking those questions of yourself, when you think about who you are, what do you love about, what attributes do you recognize about yourself that allow you to feel good in your skin? I mean, what are and whatever that may be. I mean, it could be right at this point in their life, something more physical in nature versus tapping into, as they feel more comfortable, just the feelings themselves. Understanding that love, doesn't always feel tangible. I mean, it's something that we can show and share and experience. So there is that, kind of difficulty at times for especially men to know how to show that love. How is it going to be received? I wasn't, kind of taught how to love a woman. I wasn't taught how to love a brother. Be willing to be creative and to, kind of, tap into any possibility. I'm a big believer in, there's abundance out there in the world, and tapping into that abundance allows you to grow in directions that you maybe never thought you could. So, just tuning into that, like you said, intuition, tuning into, trusting your heart, trusting, that it's going to give you the best results in your life, and, living a life of one of our basic needs, which is love.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course. So now leads me to ask you a very similar question in nature. So what impact do you feel you could make in promoting love in the world? And, maybe some areas, obviously we're very far apart. So, how can we create that continued effort towards this, kind of what we're doing maybe, as well as in your life, that could be tangible steps that are going to either you're doing now, or maybe some creative ways where you can even grow love more broadly in your life and others?
Man, I'm honestly, like, right now, I'm trying a very interesting approach. As counterintuitive as it sounds, but I'm slowing down a whole lot. And what I mean by that is like, it's helping me to be more aware, more present in the moment. And what that space allows me to do is, once all the other bullshit is gone and out of my sight from slowing down, then the interactions I have with people are more meaningful. and they're more connected on the love level. Um, it's like I always want to give everybody a heart hug now. That was absurd. I would have never thought about that, a year or two ago. Like, oh, I just want to hug everybody. Hugs for everybody. you know?
Yeah.
Uh, so like that's kind of what I'm doing now to kind of promote it and what we're doing. Um, and for me, it's practicing what I preach, and I feel like I'm always beating the heart, how do you say it, the dead horse, because I'm always like lead by example, lead by example. But that is one of my for sure things that's built in me. You have to practice what you preach, and that's kind of what I'm doing now is just slowing the hell down so everything could be more meaningful and come from a better place, and overall, I mean, it's going to help create a safer world because now people are more aware. It helps me in my coaching because now I don't know who it is out there I could help. Um, so I have to be my best self and be ready to show it and help because that is love, you know.
So as I'm sitting here listening to you, I was just remembering when we first spoke and we were sharing on one of our first skills labs together about your health scare, your experience with your heart. And I think that's maybe a topic we can talk into much more depth, maybe a future podcast. But I'm interested today, in looking back, kind of what your heart represented to you before that. Have you, because I know that's kind of where you're coming from as far as your coaching career. So maybe give me a little bit of kind of areas surrounding that difference or that change that you have felt prior to that whole health scare, and maybe more of your awareness around your heart today.
Man, it's strange. That's something I'm always wondering and thinking about, honestly, man. Everything pre-surgery is almost a blur. Like, and it's weird. Almost my whole life is a blur. Um, Now and I know life went on, but there are like some years that's kind of unaccounted for as far as things happening or feelings or any of that stuff. Um, and so after the surgery and all of that stuff, it's you wake up and I literally felt new because I had to face a lot of stuff and ask a lot of questions. And that was one of the things. And it was kind of weird when I was laying there. I could just remember something just telling me in my head over and over and over and over to pray for this gentleman, this dude that was across the way from me. And that was like the first thing I felt as far as having compassion and really wanting to do something, that I can remember feeling it throughout my whole, and just feeling the love and wanting to do something for another human. I was cold-blooded, cold-hearted before. It was money, 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 and on money, 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 women, women, women. I want the biggest and the baddest. Like, let's go. I didn't. Hey, I'm an asshole by nature. That's just who I am. I don't care. And now, doing this 180, I'll be honest, it's like you're trying to rediscover yourself. You're like, okay, you wake up out of this haze and you're 38 years old, but you still don't kind of know who you are. And it's like, whoa, all right, who in the hell am I? That's kind of where I'm at, but it's kind of cool because although the subconscious memories are there that kind of create the fear and all these other emotions. But the cool thing is, as I grow and find out more and more who I am, I realize more and more that I get to become whoever it is I want to be. And that person is the best me I could be at any given time.
Absolutely. Love that. Wow. That was powerful, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think just, and you brought up briefly, and we're going to be discussing this in the future, that ongoing question of who am I, right? It doesn't, today, you may be this, but tomorrow when you look at that question or let that question resonate in your mind, there's things that are going to change, right? They're going to maybe take away something that no longer serves you as far as who you were in your past life, and things that are going to enter into your life that kind of adds another layer of who you are. So I think that's a very important question, I think, for us all to continue in our life, to ponder and let resonate, to not be creating these limiting beliefs about who we are, and just being open to all these possibilities of who we might be. And I quote a couple quotes. So one that resonates with me that I've posted about before is, when we let go of who we are, we become what we might be. And that just, you kind of let that sink in. Pretty profound, kind of statement to really.
Hey, say that again. I like that. What was that?
When we let go of who we are, we become what we might be.
Man, that sounds good.
And then the other one I was just thinking while we're here was, and this was kind of a mantra that I've, kind of been using. That's not my mantra, but one that I've heard is, and just more around love is, live to love and love to live. And how many people in their life, are living, but are they really alive? And I think it's important to kind of take that step back, as we're doing here on this channel, and allow others to kind of connect with this conversation. So we're going to continue this as long as we possibly can in our life. We're committed to this. We surely value anybody that's listening in for any part of this, or any of the podcasts that have resonated with you. We're definitely going to kind of be diverse in nature as far as the types of things we're doing here. Got some kind of behind the scenes ideas on some things we're going to be throwing out there, so stay tuned for that. Cedric, any closing comments for you?
No, not really, man. Enjoy the holiday. Christmas is coming around the corner. If that's what you do, Christmas, Hanukkah, all that other good stuff.
Yep.
Man, appreciate it. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Ron, to you, Merry Christmas. But we'll be talking before then anyway, so I'll tell you again. But no, just slow down. If I had to give probably a parting piece of advice, slow down, be in the moment, love the moment.
Love it. Peace out, everyone. Namaste to y'all.
Namaste.